All right, folks, we are here at GTPs. We are going to be talking about all things GPT.
T.
And I sometimes mix it up and say GTP, but it's
Yeah.
GPT. P as in Paul, T as in Thomas. We're here with George Churchwell. George is a growing guru in the space of generative AI. He's going to be course director on a couple of courses that we launch here at SoftEd. We already done one of these already, George?
Coming up.
Or two?
Yep.
Okay.
What? We
Oh,
did
one so
one.
far. Okay, so this is our second one, but we're going to get deep and dirty into GPTs.
There you
And
go.
we're going to start off. George, we got an announcement to talk about, and then we'll dig in from there.
We have a big announcement out with GPTs came yesterday with OpenAI. Previously, whenever you made a GPT, and for some of you that aren't familiar with them, it allows you to create a equivalent of an Apple app. The key to it is whoever you give it to doesn't have to know prompt engineering, because whatever you made it to do, it will execute that for them. All the prompt engineering is in the making of the GPT. But here was the catch. Whenever you made one of those, the person that received it from you had to have an OpenAI account. So they had to pay $20 a month.
A paid
Yeah,
OpenAI
they had
account.
a paid account. You had to have a paid account. And even though OpenAI, and you probably maybe heard of 3.5, it was around for a long time. People were using it. It was free. It wouldn't. The GPTs wouldn't work for them.
Right.
So it was kind of odd. You make some GPTs. You can't really send them out to the world because not everybody had the paid accounts. Just people don't want to pay $20 a month just to play around. And so it was very limited. That's done. On top of it, add this. The accounts now have the ability, I should say the GPTs now operate generically with GPT 4.0 or Omni. And the Omni refers to the fact that it supports multimedia natively. You might have heard, like, before you could do images and things with something like DALL-E and other tools.
Yep.
Now that's all part of it.
So let's kind of take a step back and kind of slice this up a little bit. Yep. So from a GPT perspective, this is really, although the technology is in some of the other tools, when we really talk about a GPT, it's really an open AI technology.
Yes.
Right? Copilot does it a little different ways, but like you said, you actually are building a mini large language model to operate something or do something or
very specific.
Something. Very, very purpose-built is what we're calling it.
Yeah.
You can build a purpose-built GPT, right?
Yep.
But before, you could only give it to people who are paying $20 a month.
Yep.
To OpenAI.
Now it's wide open. And
that's right. Anybody now. So you could, just like you can share an app across the entire Apple world, you can share your GTP to anybody.
Yep. And they're expecting, at least in their email, it said 100 million people will have exposure now.
So here's my question to you. Can you monetize this? Let's talk about that first.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think that's coming. I think it's coming. I will say this. For any of you out there that are consultants and then businesses also, just a different way to monetize. But for all of you, let's say you're going to do something with AI. You don't really probably want all of your employees to have a blank chat screen and they're typing prompt engineering commands in to get something done that your customers are paying for. Because the problem is, you take 80 employees doing something, they probably get different things back whenever they ask for things. And then you're not sure if what they got back was what you really want to say to the customer or how that would behave if it denied a customer something or whatever. Because here's the problem. When you asked a large language model something, it answers by trying to figure out where this answer exists in its trillions of elements. All right. So you could get better. People with prompt engineering teach you to put, a persona. I'm a chef. I work in this kind of restaurant and I do desserts or whatever. And Now you ask the question. That's the way you do prompt engineering. You narrow it down.
Yep.
GPTs are really cool because when you build them, you can actually say the output should come from this document. When you're asked a question about my FAQs, you give the GPT your FAQs. If
Yeah.
you're
So
asked a question about
basically,
my policies, you give it my policies.
so you have this huge, let's take example, SharePoint. We got SharePoint's a dumping ground for every file known to mankind. And searching
Yeah.
that thing is a nightmare. So maybe it's a dumping ground for all your marketing stuff. So you create a GTP with all that marketing stuff that says create blog posts or create videos or create this, but you're only going to create it within the pool of content that has been approved with branding, logo, and everything else.
Yep.
Correct.
And that's the advantage with the GPT. You have the ability to take these. Now they're limited. Heck, it really doesn't cost anything yet. So you can only do 20 items, and they can't be more than 100,000 lines each.
Okay.
But
there's a little,
I can tell you. So
can you break that and have to pay though, or you can't?
That's it. Then you have to go to something bigger. But let me throw something at you that we don't have to make something that solves all the world's problems. I know we work with a lot of project managers here.
Yep.
If you have 2 or 3 clients that you're managing projects for right now, take your project plan, put it in a PDF file, put it in to the GPT, put that along with all your customer contact information, anything that was done with the sales of that, and then all of your normal policies for handling projects.
Yep.
So that's like 5 or 6 different PDF files. And you take all of those, and now that GPT knows about your customer ABC, and you can ask it questions anytime you want.
Look at the thumbs up. Where did that magical thumbs up come from? I love that. That was magic, baby. I didn't do that.
That was magic.
Something's going on.
But you could ask it anything you want now, and it becomes a nice natural language query. Keep it up to date with what's going on. You can keep feeding in new. By the way, once you make a GPT, you can change things and keep adding to it. And now everybody you share that with, and there is some level of security, but it's not deep. It's not really role-based. It's really who you gave the link to.
Yeah.
And also whether you opened up to everyone or just selected people. But
part of me is that's part of the problem with SharePoint is you get to the point you have no idea who you gave rights to. I send something out. I want someone to edit. They can't. I mean, what I like about this and what you're getting at is it's very specific to a need that otherwise you'd have to communicate maybe 50 times, 60 times. Now you just send a link and let them engage it. They can have all
good
the
or bad.
answered. Yeah,
and good or bad. Share it with. You could share that link with the leadership.
Yep.
I mean, if you like a very open project, you share it with your leadership. You share it with the customer. They could ask it questions: Are we on time? Are we not on time? Or whatever. And it'll respond based on the information you put in it. So you don't have to bother with getting that call asking you questions because the GPT can do this.
Okay. You know what? One of the things I taught the project managers about and business analysts is about trying to grab meetings. So you could use a technology like Whisper to record, then you could put those meeting recordings in as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. And AI can do things with that. Because you're having Omni now in GPTs, it can see screens, it can do audio. And by the way, it can speak.
Yeah,
so you can actually put it so now the GPT can actually talk. So you can be driving in a car and it's giving you an update, things like that.
Doesn't it have Scarlett Johansson's voice?
That was something else for a promotion.
No, it actually came out with Scarlett Johansson's voice illegally for the first 24 hours. And that got changed.
Yeah. I think that got kind of messed up, definitely. But
yes, the CEO had to step in there.
I don't want this to become an OpenAI advertisement.
No.
So I'm going to tell you this. Okay. Take one step back and let's say we want to do this with a different AI, Claude or something else. All right. Just to let you guys all know, what OpenAI did was just they coded some stuff, and I'm not going to use a lot of buzzwords, but they took something that those little files are called retrieval augmented generation, RAG. They basically made it so RAG is a drag and drop. That's what they created. Okay, if you take Python code, you got to find somebody that writes it, or you might be able to get the AI to write it for you. But
then you have
you
copyright
basically,
issues.
yeah, you take Python code, you create an area where it can draw files from, which you will see you can draw it from your hard drive. You create a folder and you put things in that folder. You basically created what OpenAI made with the GPT. And then you also use system level prompts.
Yeah, but what tool do you use for that? What are you running on your PC?
You would want to run something like VS Code. You would want to run Python and VS Code or something. You'd want to run some kind of Python editor. And then there's something called a system level prompt, which what that means is it's a prompt that the user doesn't see, which is what the GPT is doing. All of you can put prompts into the system to tell it ahead of time how to respond to the person. And then you ask it a question and the person types that final line that goes in with the prompt you put in front of it. So now that becomes the question that actually goes to the large language model.
But in this case, you can use another large language model besides OpenAI.
It's just a pain. So OpenAI.
But what about the idea of putting Llama on your computer and doing the same thing? Because Llama
could do the same.
So Llama operates as your own personal GPT, correct? Really?
It still doesn't have all of those elements that ChatGPT did, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. Again, keep in mind, all ChatGPT did, and I say all they did, it was a really great marketing idea that they thought up. But what they did was basically programmed a number of things into a user interface that's drag and drop.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write code to something they knew a lot of people would want. They basically used system level prompts and RAG. And that's what they created. That was the main.
So let me ask you this question: Do you have ChatGPT open up right now?
I probably have it somewhere here. Why is that?
Because you can actually show us this stuff. If you pop it up and you hit the present button at the bottom of your screen, see that present next to invite and settings, and it'll come up and it'll say present your computer screen.
Yeah, let me see something here. I'm gonna go.
So one of the things I want to talk to people about is that what George is saying is basically like a GUI interface. I watched George do this. It's a GUI interface. You put some commands in there and you have it set up. I mean, this is not like magic. This is incredibly simple to do within the OpenAI environment. Again, we're not a commercial for OpenAI environment. What we are a commercial for is the power of GPTs in any way, whether you're creating a large language private model on your computer using Llama or using some of the new NVIDIA tools, which kind of reduces some of your capabilities.
Do you see me sharing now? Yeah, there we go.
Yep. So now we're sharing.
Okay. So, and I'm going to just bring up something basic, but this is an Aurora forecaster.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So this particular model is very simple, but basically it allows you to see if there's going to be an Aurora Borealis. And here it says enter location. So I can say Abisko. I happen to have gone to Abisko, Sweden earlier this year. Yeah.
I got pictures.
So now
I got pictures.
And it's going to go out now and it searches. The GPT was told to do certain things and it checks the local weather because even if the Aurora Borealis is there, it doesn't make any sense. You won't see it unless the clouds aren't there.
All right, now type in Cary, North Carolina.
Yeah, I could.
I want to see. I just want to see what comes up. So what George has done is this GTP is basically a URL. So he could send this URL to me even if I didn't have OpenAI, and I could begin to interact with this if I was very interested in the Aurora Borealis. Like if you know, there was a huge scenario that occurred with regard to the solar flares and the solar activity that had the borealis go all the way down to New Orleans. So what is it saying here?
Well, it says that the chance to see it is quite low.
Yep.
So, and the KP index would have to be higher. In Sweden, it says tonight looks promising based on the current geomagnetic conditions. And let me show you, while we're in here, let me just show you what something like this looks like.
That's what I want to do. Can you get the innards and show them how you built it?
Yeah, let me pull this Aurora one up. And let's go here. So the Aurora Forecaster basically has these instructions, and this would be the concept of prompt engineering. And then, so this is all the prompting. One of the cool things about ChatGPT is you can actually create something without writing prompt engineering yourself. You can do so by issuing the create button where it generates it for you. And here you can see, based on whatever you want to do, it asks you questions and takes you through it. This one doesn't have any knowledge files. Let me pull up
show
one
us one that has
you
knowledge files. So basically, but go back to that when you can show them what you pointed to, because what you did, if you go back to the Aurora Borealis one real quick,
Sure.
because it's a very simple one, but pretty interesting, is that he just gave it different websites to work off of. So I can ask it questions, and it gave you basically, hey, check out these different websites. So if you go back down, isn't that where the websites are below?
Websites are right here. There it is. The NOAA website for ash. So in this case, I had to know places. So the way this GPT worked is because I went and visited the Aurora Borealis, somebody told me how I could tell if I was going to see it. And they said, go to these websites and everything. So I just wanted to make it really easy. Instead of telling somebody else, oh, go to this website and do this, I created a GPT. You created
what's called a mashup in the old days. So mashup is pulling different data together to show it, but it took a ton of, not a ton, but it took a good deal of programming to create a mashup, especially on the website. You just did it in what, 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Oh yeah, it makes it very easy. And let me show you something with some data set in it. I'm gonna pull this up here and let me go to my GPT. So you're seeing it. And what I could do here is I'm gonna show you, let me find the Cisco one. There it is. So I happen to work in the Cisco space and they have a certification exam and I know the exam's code number. And then I added Bloom's taxonomy, which is a learning technique. And then also I put the exam study guide, the blueprints, and then some exam information that's on the internet. So I put appropriate documents, and then I told the GPT, for instance here, topic found in the exam template found in the knowledge section and reference back to the Pearson exam book, all of this kind of stuff. So I just tell it where to go get things. Use the Bloom's taxonomy to create questions. So what's kind of cool here too, when you have it running, I can actually go here while I have the stuff on my left. This is the development environment.
You could test it.
Yeah, it's bringing it up right now. And if I didn't like something I saw on the right, I could change it on the left and just keep going through it and make it to what I want it to do.
Excellent.
And again, now all of this stuff is available and out there for anyone to have with them. And maybe something more appropriate for this crowd. Here, I think I have, here's a project management assistant. And
let's stop for a second. So if you were going to give this to me, you would email me the link.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, and the way I would find that is just over here. Oh, over here. There's the link to this particular.
So that's GPT. The engagement part. So he would send it to me. Now I could send it to other people, and other people could access this.
Yes.
Because as we talked about, there's not the only security is the link.
Here's the project analyzer. This is it. So I want to
the only security is the link.
Is the link? Yes. They don't have role-based controls. So at this point. So this is kind of interesting thing. This is a project analyzer, and I took a success plan document, and then I put it in there and basically said to analyze the project. And in this item, it goes and it reads this document when you put it in, and it goes and it looks up, and look, it's telling me, and this is fake. You can see it's Acme loans. I have the Bugs Bunny thing. But
well, Wile E. Coyote was the Acme.
Wile E. Coyote.
He probably spent billions of dollars with Acme.
And you could see here, I don't know if I could we could try this. Who is in charge of the learning? Let's see. I'll see if it, oh, there it is. Look, it went in the document. So it read the project plan, and it's now giving me the names of the people in there.
So you're able to slice and dice it. Now, the key thing here is the power is you can put lots of different information. Again, it's based on the purpose. It's based on the purpose that you're trying to achieve. And one of the things that we coach about in the world of both using generative AI in general, as well as using GPTs, is you have to know your job.
Yes.
It's not going to magically teach you your job. It's not going to magically make you a project manager. What it is, it's a tool for a project manager who knows what the heck they're doing to become more productive.
Exactly. Because when you're building the GPT, the types of things you tell it to show someone are based on knowing your job, just as you said.
You have to. If you don't know your job, it's useless.
Yeah, and I use an example. Even you can have a AI build you a contract for buying a home or doing a deal with somebody, a vendor.
I actually, for one of my clients, showed them how to do a SOW and a proposal using ChatGPT.
Okay, you can do something like that. But here's the catch. You tell it just to go make one, it might get it right.
No, I had to give it serious details.
Yeah, you'd have to say, my governing law is Virginia. It wouldn't know that.
That's right. My net terms is 30. Oh yeah. The thing about me,
my net terms is 30.
I hate the legalese, so I just said, here's all the term sheet stuff. I popped it in there and showed her.
Yeah. So the AI is not going. This is the thing. I think a lot of people say, and people get worried about AI is going to take my job.
I wrote an article about that, George. It's out there right now today. I just wrote it yesterday.
There you go.
Is AI going to take your job?
It can't take your job right now. It can make it so you could do things you never could do. It gives you superpowers.
It can take your job. If I make my partner more productive, that means I'm not valuable.
Oh, there you go, David. So for all of you, you want to keep your job and not worry about AI?
You become an AI person. Yes.
Become an AI person.
Because right now, what Google's doing is analyzing the use of generative AI against their staffing, and they're going to make staffing cuts to those that they think aren't warranted, and then add AI empowerment to the ones that stay.
But they're going
to be the first that do this.
But the thing that will happen, I think, and I don't know how many of you have an appetite for this, but I think AI will create some of the first companies, maybe someday a company that has a significant amount of revenue and one person in it.
Yeah.
And a bunch of AI agents.
You know what you could do that for?
Could be
an internet retailer who's connected with an outsourced manufacturer who's connected with an outsourced shipper could actually do that, George. Scarily, and make $5 million. Because the AI agents would do the ordering based on the other AI agent telling them where they stand. And you got to make some changes and adjustments because AI works on its own. It thinks itself, so it goes out in different angles. All right, so we'll wrap this one up. We created a nice little.
Let me show you one. Now that you showed me how to present, I'm going to show just one more thing really quick.
No, that's why I gave you a new tool. A tool with somebody who's not a fool is a good tool.
Okay, here we go.
A tool with a fool is still a fool.
Right here. There we go.
It's a bigger fool. Let me
show it. So just so everyone notes, this AI stuff is starting to get security at the highest level in Europe. It's laws, just like
Yep.
something called GDPR. At the lowest level, they're items that have to be followed, probably for government contracts, but should be followed by everybody. And so if you're going to start working and making AI as part of your product delivery, and probably the easiest one that you would catch with this, I mean, I'll give you the easy, probably a no-brainer that's kind of obvious, is you use AI to make it faster to screen resumes.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll
I'm
tell
going
you
to tell you
what,
that's a
man.
dangerous thing.
I'll tell you what, though, it's driving. So I do a lot of career coaching, and that is the number one thing on the mind of 50 plus people looking for jobs is the bots are killing them.
Yeah, yeah.
And the AI is killing them. And they're now there's a whole level of service for career people teaching them how to build a resume to handle the AI screening.
Yeah, because that's scary. That would be scary. I would think that's scary to use it there, because here's the thing. We're probably not far from having a law that will kick in that has something to do to certain protect human rights and all of the things we normally would protect. And the AI you used and chose will have to come to and identify its reasoning on how it's making selections. And if you can't have that, you're certainly going to be lawsuits and things when you deny somebody.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a
yeah,
great
and
point.
so you'll see these laws come into play. Just keep an eye on them as they start to become part of the fabric of the AI. It's gonna One of the things it's gonna do. It actually plays in favor of the big companies too, because there's all these AI companies out there now.
Yep.
The little guys are going to spend a lot of money to stay compliant. The big guys too, but the big guys can afford it.
Yeah,
so,
but then what's going to be interesting is how do you measure compliancy? So now when we talk about jobs being lost, the jobs created are going to be very interesting. And I know one company that I'm watching is Outlier. I know 2 people are working for them now. They're basically training the AI to be more human.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So there are going to be training jobs that are going to be available. Very strong English, very detail oriented, very complex in your thinking. You got to really think about it. Outlier puts you through like 5 hours of testing before they decide whether you're someone that can be in there. Hey, look at boy Lloyd. Lloyd, bias is a huge issue. There's no doubt about it. You know, this is going to be one of those things. But we always got to remember this. There's bias in all the history that we have produced through tens of thousands of years. There's bias in every conversation. Humans create bias as well. I mean, that's the downside of humanity. I mean, we just are imperfect creatures, right? So I think with AI, we blame ourselves, not the AI. We are the ones that have created the information that the systems pull from.
Interesting enough, I'll leave with a thought with this is, when you do a GPT or anything in the future with AI, the bias that David just brought up, that's in the AI. But here's the thing, bias isn't all bad. You want to actually create bias and rules that apply to how you like to treat customers and you like to treat policies and compliance, because you may have open policies, you may have closed policies.
Yeah,
the AI needs to know that.
Well, the bias depends on if it's racial, sexual orientation, those type of things. But there are other biases, George, that you're talking about that have to be par for the course. A system has to have rules.
Yep.
And rules mean bias.
Yep.
We're not pure libertarians here, although I'd love to be on my island in my little libertarian world. But that's a whole other story. We're not going to get into. All right, George, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Lloyd, thanks for your comment.
All right.
We appreciate that as well. Have a great day.
Take care. All right, you guys.
We'll talk again later.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.